Okay, next up, we have our member firm spotlight. We're going to be talking more about referrals and how those happen during my presentation, but we're first going to ask Bas to come up and talk about a recent success story that he had with a number of our member firms. And so I'll let him explain how that worked.
Okay, bon dia. So I got to talk to you about a referral success story. Not sure if it is for motivational purposes or a confirmation about our great successes that you are obviously sharing with us in a minute. A success story of the network where lawyers become friends. Pavla already mentioned it, and I really think that it is true. We do become friends, but the obvious question is, what do our clients benefit from us becoming friends? What do they benefit from me jumping into the ocean with Jonas and Anthony after an ILN run? And well, as much as I endorse the slogan where lawyers become friends, and I truly believe in the concept, one must admit, or one could admit, that it has a slight cheesy tone to it, especially when you explain it to people outside the network. They say, well, great, you got to go to Rio, and indeed it is not unpleasant to be here, but does it work? And recently I tell them this success story, or this story that we did, it's about a bankruptcy, but it could just have been a reorganization or an M&A transaction or any cross-border transaction that we lawyers work on. It is about a large company that went bankrupt in late January of this year. And my colleague, Mark Udink, who you all might, or I think you all know him, and we were appointed by the Dutch courts as trustees of this bankruptcy. And it had like 15 European subsidiaries or branches. It was a company that was specialized in the sharing mobility, the electronic mobility, as you've seen here in the streets of Rio as well, the orange bikes. I guess every large city in the world nowadays have the concept where you log in and can grab a bike or a scooter. I've learned that depending on what jurisdiction you're from, you either say scooter or moped. Where we're from, we say scooter. And this company specialized in electronic scooters and electronic bikes. They had a large business to consumer part where they rented out these scooters to the public, and a large business to business as well, where they rented these scooters to companies like Just Eat Takeaway, Domino's Pizza, flash delivery companies like Gorillas and Getir, but also the Dutch Postal Office and the police. 800 clients, 10 of which represented 75% of the revenues. The other 790 clients were small businesses, your local pizzeria who needed a scooter to get the pizza delivered at your place. So all of a sudden, we were responsible for 35,000 electronic scooters and 15,000 electronic bikes who were all over Europe. So how does that? Okay. It looks a bit like this. This is, Mark, this is actually a funny picture because in our country, it's mandatory to have a driver's license to use one of these. And as some of you might know, Mark doesn't have his driver's license, so he's actually not driving it, he's just posing it and pretending to be cool. This is Europe, our tiny little country in the middle of Europe, the gateway to Europe. I must say, we've always been, and I guess we're even more after Brexit. Um, uh, so this is where our firm is at, and then we had subsidiaries in Germany, in Austria, in Denmark, in Poland, in Turkey, Italy, Belgium, France, UK, and I might have forgotten some. So these are the people that we consulted. And the success story is that we were able to reach out to them within a very short notice to get all these stuff done. So I wrote down who we consult. So one of the first persons we called was Miriam Wagner. She joined us recently. I sat next to her on the bus in Amsterdam when we went to the tulips. We got friends there. We walked through the tulips together. We needed, because the German-speaking countries have something where you are obliged to file your own bankruptcy when you have a negative equity. Überschuldung. Is it called Überschuldung? Yeah. Konkursversleppung. And since there were our subsidiaries, we were extremely cautious with that, and we needed them to file for bankruptcy as soon as possible. Miriam is not insolvency expert, but she hooked us up with a colleague of her who filed the bankruptcy in Germany. And then we had employees in Germany as well. Reached out to Armin from Gundwerk, and he helped us lay off all these people. I think we had like 20 German employees who he helped us get rid of. And then basically, yeah. So then we went to Austria, same problem with the need to file for bankruptcy there as well. So Andreas helped us there. He helped us with the termination of the lease contract there. And also the same problem with employees was there as well. So then we went to Italy. I would love to have called Attilio, but when we talk of long-lasting friendships, Mark and Giorgio, I guess they've known each other for 20 or 25 years. So Mark called Giorgio Giobini, who helped us with a joint venture that we have there and lots of scooters that were still in warehouses in Italy. Next up was one of our newest firms in Belgium, actually our closest firm to us. The other Dutch firm of Peter is actually farther away than this Brussels firm is of us. So when they joined us, we immediately invited them over for dinner. Recently, they invited us back for a great lunch. We have stayed in contact a lot. We have referred a lot of cases to each other, and he helped us again with the sale of a subsidiary, the sale of a subsidiary, and he's now helping us with all other bankruptcy issues as like terminating lease contracts and stuff like that. And last but not least, this fella here. Yeah, when my assistant found this picture on the internet, I said, "That's not Anthony," but it is you, right? It is. It's an old face, yeah. So we had two UK companies. One was already in administration. The other one was a joint venture. Anthony helped us with the sale of the shares there. We sold it actually to a guy who turned out to be a former colleague of Anthony as well. So this shows that within a couple of weeks after our appointment, we were able to reach out in the whole continent, get all the scooters and the bikes back, have a lot of transactions completed, had people laid off, had lease contracts terminated, and it wouldn't have worked if these guys were not my friends at the ILN. So just like a lot of cliches, the cheesy slogan does really work. And when we were making this presentation, I asked my assistant who made it to find me the most cheesiest and cliche final. picture, and it is, and they lived happily ever after.
Thanks, boss.